thought that what we do together would go on as it has.
Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of listening to the sound of my tears.
22 years.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the final Grand Tour special, One for the Road, that just came out this Friday gone on Amazon Prime, and I watched it on Friday night. I don't really know where to start with this one because it's quite heartbreaking for me, if I'm honest. I have followed these guys since about 2005, 2006, doing Top Gear. Absolutely, that was my favourite show, Top Gear, when it was on. And then, obviously, they did the Grand Tour, and I think this is 8 years they've done the Grand Tour, which is a good old run as well. And I watched every single episode of the Grand Tour since it came on Amazon, and if I'm honest, the reason I got Amazon Prime was for the Grand Tour originally. I am really a big fan. I'm that guy that's got the stacks of box sets, DVDs from Top Gear. I'm that guy that if they ever do like a box set of the Grand Tour, I'll be buying it. You know what I mean? I don't really tire of watching these guys. I think they're fun. I think they're entertaining. They're hilariously funny, and they're informative too. You know, they actually know what they're talking about when it comes to cars. And most of my car knowledge from like I say the mid-noughties to now has come from watching Top Gear and the Grand Tour. So this time round, One for the Road, the final Grand Tour, sees them going to Zimbabwe, returning to Africa, choosing 3 cars they always wished they had owned. So Richard got a Capri, James got a Stag, and Clarkson gets a Lancia. And the last time he was in Africa, well, at the beginning, the very first special they did was the Botswana special for Top Gear, and it was very pertinent because this episode finishes at the starting point of that Botswana special 17 years ago, because they did a few series of Top Gear before they ever did a special, if you like, and the first one they ever did was Botswana. That's the one where Richard Hammond came back with Oliver, the car that obviously got quite famous now. So I mean, they end up traveling, is it 1,200 miles, I think, across Zimbabwe in these cars that you just know, are not going to last. And I think within, 30 miles of setting off, I think Richard breaks down first. The Clarkson has trouble. I mean, they all really have trouble with them. The only one that doesn't have any trouble is James Mays, in actual fact. I don't remember him having any trouble with his on this trip. But this one wasn't really fun, full of like silly, insane stunts. It was actually quite a reflective episode. I mean, beautiful scenery. You got to see do some daft stuff in the cars and what have you, but they're not like doing crazy laps and spinning all over the place. And at one point they have to kind of cross a river, so they have to kind of put the cars like on these boats to cross the rivers, and that's quite fun and entertaining for a while to watch. But it's mainly kind of these guys reflecting, having fun, having a laugh, and kind of repairing their cars along the way, and looking at this kind of beautiful scenery as they go along, and just having a really, really good time. Them camping on an evening. I think for the most part they were like in tents and stuff, but on a couple of occasions they were like in hotels and stuff. And it just kind of seemed like everything that normally kind of goes wrong in these episodes, goes wrong, with the cars breaking down, stuff like that. But it didn't feel engineered, if you like. A lot of people throw criticism at Top Gear and Grand Tour for it being like scripted and all this kind of stuff. And yes, I'm sure there are quite a lot of things that are scripted or prepped and, you know, or rehearsed maybe. But the great attraction I think of these guys is their spontaneity, their chemistry, and it is on display here. You know, you can see the genuine warmth between them, even though they are ripping the piss out of each other, you know, relentlessly. Not just through this episode, but in general as well. They even at one point turn the cars into trains, so they kind of revisit all these kind of things they've done in the past on Top Gear and Grand Tour, you know, like going on water, going on train tracks, that kind of stuff. You know, they kind of, all the vehicles kind of go through that stage, and I suspect that at the end of this, each one of these kept these cars because they all genuinely had a massive affection for these vehicles, and you could tell that because normally they kind of wreck these things on these trips. And don't get me wrong, by the end of the trip they were fairly wrecked, but I definitely feel that they would be shipped back home and beautifully restored, probably by Richard Hammond's smallest cog business. It wouldn't surprise me anyway. So, I mean, it's with a heavy heart, really, that I watched this one. I'm not going to lie, I had a lump in my throat by the end because it was just so lovely. Right at the end, when they, like I say, at the finishing line, which was where they started the Botswana one in 17 years ago, you know, they actually were allowed to use some footage from Top Gear, and you could see it kind of flashing back to then, and then now, and then and now, and yeah, it did get quite emotional by the end, and I'm genuinely, I'm going to really miss this show. I'm going to miss these guys, and I know we've got Clarkson's Farm, which is a fabulous show. I love it. You've got Richard Hammond's show, you know, The Smallest Cog, and he's got Drive Tribe on YouTube, and then you've got James May, who does his like travel shows and things for Amazon, and so it's not as if we're not going to see these guys, but it's just a shame that we're not going to see these guys kind of doing what they do together anymore. That's it. It's done. And the day I've dreaded has finally arrived. I mean, I suppose I got an extra 8 years because I remember when Top Gear finished, I thought, what are they going to do? Who's going to be able to afford to kind of do the show that they want to do? And Amazon stepped up to the plate and gave us 8 fantastic years of the Grand Tour, which was arguably better than Top Gear. But essentially, they were both very, very similar at the end of the day. So, yeah, guys, strong 9 out of 10 from me. So there's some kind of nostalgia and emotion in that score, I'm not going to lie. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was definitely a callback to specials that have gone, you know, in the past. And definitely quite an emotional one as well. So let me know in the comments, guys, what your thoughts are on this final episode of the Grand Tour. And I will, of course, be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.